I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, May the 31st, where record high beef export sales could be a game changer here as we get into this spot in our cycle where we've got too much supply of market ready fat cattle. It outweighs demand by quite a bit here for the next couple of months, but nobody expected this huge record beef export sales, and it could be enough to kind of save us from dipping down under $1, which most everybody thought we would probably do. But we'll talk about it a little more in a minute. But I do want to say that this evening or late this afternoon, I will be at the Cattle First Stalker Forum in Joplin, Missouri. Hope to see some of my four-state area friends at that meeting there, and if you haven't already made plans to go, see if you can't get in. They're going to have a good meal and a few speakers there. But look at the board on Wednesday, excuse me. Your August live cattle futures up the limit, $3. That's all in response to this record high beef export sales information that came out on Tuesday, because Monday was a holiday. Your June live cattle futures up the $3 limit also at 106.12. So we're actually almost getting those pretty close to where we may end up selling fat cattle this week, but we may be able to hold steady, which a lot of people didn't really accept that $1.10 as the market last week, but that's what it was. A lot of people are still thinking 116, but no, your market's probably around $1.10 somewhere, and your June being up the limit there is getting it pretty close to what cash market is. August feeder cattle up 357 at 148.55. October up 3 1/4 at 147.62. You look at your fats. We haven't really seen any significant trade yet this week, but we are seeing a little bit of trickle trade, and that's pretty much all we're going to see here for the next at least 6 weeks, because we've got so many of those short-term contract, those cattle that were sold for 2 to 4 weeks out that they're getting, and every week they sell more of them. That just tacks on more and more, and then we've got huge supplies of market-ready cattle right there. And the packers just don't need to buy a whole lot of them. They've got everybody confused on where the market's at, and they love it. But through Tuesday, it only sold a little over 1,200 head. But most of that was from 109 to 111 on a live basis. Some of that could be for 2 to 4 weeks out. Likely a lot of it is for immediate delivery or within the next 2 weeks. A little bit of dress sales at 175 to 178. The Fed Cattle Exchange had an interesting sale on Wednesday morning. They only had about 450 head, but they sold half of them, and those are for immediate delivery, and they did bring $1.10, and they were all in Kansas. So that's really on a direct basis the best market we have, and maybe they can hold $1.10 if we continue to build up this news of really healthy box beef cutout sales, especially for export. But you look at those figures there. We had 1,638 loads of box beef cuts for export last week, and that is by far a record. We've never seen anything like that as far back as the way that they report things now, and that goes back to the early 2000s. But you look at that in comparison to what kind of normal is. There was 147 loads last week to our North American customers. The prior week it was 113, but for overseas customers, 1,491 loads. Wow. The prior week it was 573, and that wasn't anything to sneeze at really. But just huge sales of overseas, and you know, I know we're getting into the time where we're really ramping up our domestic grilling demand. Now that doesn't necessarily hold true for a lot of other places, especially our overseas customers. You know, they're on a different spot in the equator, and they may not be getting into their start of their warm weather grilling, but just excellent demand. And everybody thinks that Trump is going to screw up our trade with our overseas customers and things like that. You just let Trump settle this out, and I think in the end we'll all be better off for it. And he hasn't ticked off anybody so bad that they don't want to do business with us yet. And they sure enough don't with us selling their products, because we've got the biggest economy in the world by far. But you look at your box beef cutout values, the price on them late Wednesday, pretty good, pretty supportive there. $228.68 was your choice cuts, up $1.12. Selects $204.38, up 73 cents. Now look at your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on Beef Market Central based on an 800-pound steer. 136.17, up 65 cents from Tuesday's close. So had good sales there. And for the most part, all of our big strings, the steers sold in El Reno at OKC West. They had a big sale, especially a big sale coming off of a Monday holiday. But they had an excellent sale there, and just numerous strings, bundles and bundles of strings of cattle there at OKC West. They had over 12,000 head of cattle, and they had a real light calf sale. So way over 10,000 of those were feeder cattle selling on Wednesday. But they did quote the feeder steers. Market News did $2 to $3 higher. The feeder heifers mostly steady to firm. You look at the automated market report on Cattle Market Central there, has all those cattle piled together. Don't pay so much attention to the change on the lighter weights, because that's compared to a very short number of light weights at the Wednesday sale the last time. They didn't have many of those. But when you get into the feeder weights, where the volume's at, you can see that that trend on the automated report is very reflective of what the Market News reporters called it. But I do want to call attention to your 8 and 9 weight steers there, over 2,019 head of 8 weight steers in El Reno. They averaged 845 and 134.14 on the weighted average price. That's almost your real-time index there, and weighing halfway into the 8s. But look at the 9 weights. How many 9 weight steers they had? 2,360 head of 9 weight steers, averaged 948 at 123.24, and that's a pretty good average there. We didn't, like I said, didn't have hardly any other sales having any numbers of cattle, because just a little bit of uncertainty about what the market was going to be after the holiday there, and people maybe being busy over the weekend doing their own thing and didn't get any cattle ready to ship. Dodge City, Kansas at Winter Livestock, they only had 920 head of feeder cattle on Wednesday there. Too bad they had no comparison, because federal state market reporters did not report the sale a week ago, and they had 1,400 head a week ago, but wasn't really sure what happened there. But it kind of blows 2 weeks whenever they miss a sale like that. But look at a couple individual quotes at El Reno at OKC West. 121 head of 903-pound steers bring 135 even. That's an awful good sale on some big steers. And look at some cattle getting into the feeder weight a little further east at the North Arkansas Livestock Market in Green Forest, Arkansas. 76 head of steers in Green Forest weighed 664 at 149. And that's your feeder flash for Thursday.